planet is home to incredible natural beauty and diversity, but human activities are threatening the very foundation of our existence. Desertification, flooding, erosion, and harmful environmental practices are just a few of the challenges we face. The country has been facing numerous environmental challenges, putting populations in harm's way, affecting local economies and businesses, loss of farmlands as well as damaged crucial infrastructure. Throughout, government has not folded its arms, rather introduced series of mitigative measures towards a concerted approach in addressing the challenges. This included establishment of agencies together with relevant partners. The Agroclimatic Resilience in Semi-Arid Landscapes ACRESAL project is one of such, supported by the World Bank to address some of the major environmental issues, particularly in northern Nigeria, with BORNO state being among the selected states. The state project coordinator ACRESAL explains more on the mandate.
ACRESAL, that is Agroclimatic Resilience in Semi-Arid Landscape ACRESAL, is a project that is initiated by the federal government to increase the adoption of sustainable landscape management practices in targeted watersheds in northern Nigeria, and also strengthen the adoption of climate change resilience in Nigeria. There is need because the federal government has observed that the northern part of the country is seriously devastated by climate erosion and desertification, and it deems it necessary to intervene and see how it can address that specific problem.
Yeah, actually, when you look at the location of the state, BORNO is located in the semi-arid land, and we consider it to be a Sudan or Sahelian region, which some people think we are in Sahel. But to me, as a student of environment, we are not yet in Sahel, but rather Sudan or Sahelian. And perhaps looking at the climatic condition with a very short rainfall and long dry season, BORNO is one of the states that is supposed to key into the project and also be in the forefront of the project, considering the crisis we had, or rather we have been undergoing for more than a decade. That is the Boko Haram insurgency. And even before that, BORNO has experienced series of problems, which usually in my archive I used to mention, like the issue of Rabi around 1800, like the Metasine crisis, like the Yelzarma, like the Kanama crisis, the Gulumba crisis, Bama crisis, Bembem crisis, the Boko Haram phase 1 in Kanama, and here we are in Boko Haram phase 2. And because of that, I believe BORNO is supposed to benefit in a very larger context. Although, we had series of problems, and most people that depend on the lake, looking at our location in the Lake Chad region, the lake has actually dried up to a larger extent. Because in the early 80s, it was estimated to be around 20 to 25,000 square kilometers. And virtually over 20 million people solely depend on the lake, doing fishing activities and other socio-economic, vis-a-vis the irrigation farming they do. But today, the lake has receded to less than 3,500 square kilometers, perhaps not even up to that. So you need to consider the fate of those populations, considering the crisis. So I believe we are in the forefront, and I know we are actually one of the 19 northern states, rather in the northern region, that are into the project, including Abuja.
The ACRESAL project aimed at addressing the consequences of climate change, most especially land degradation, with its four main components of dryland management, community climate resilience, institutional strengthening and project management, contingency emergency response are key areas of intervention. BORNO State, being one of the 20 northern states identified by the federal government to benefit from the project, has challenges in different facets. The challenges in Borno are pronounced, especially due to the ongoing conflict which has disrupted efforts at tackling environmental issues and led to adoption of coping mechanisms that are detrimental to the environment. Many of the activities, especially that of the local governments in the areas of forestry and afforestation, have been halted due to the insecurity.
This problem of insecurity is actually affecting the implementation of the project here very seriously, because there are so many places that we want to go and maybe establish 100 hectares of these trees, but because of the accessibility of these places, you find that our activities will somehow be limited to the safer areas alone. But actually, under this ACRESAL, we are making so many arrangements. There is we have engaged a specific officer that will be charged with the responsibility of seeing how we can address the problem of security challenges, and that is why we have engaged a specialist, that is a security specialist, that will advise us on how best we can address that problem.
We are all aware of insecurity situation in the state, and that must have led to so many challenges in terms of food security, where millions of people have been displaced from their ancestral homes, living as IDPs. And that movement of people from one place to the other actually blew the population of settlements in all cities around. And that has put pressures on all demands in terms of livelihood. So honestly, it has given us a lot of challenge in terms of housing, in terms of land allocation for cultivation, in terms of forest management, in terms of sanitation and what have you. So it has a very great effect on our environment.
The Agroclimatic Resilience in Semi-Arid Landscapes ACRESAL project seeks to address some of the critical challenges in northern Nigeria. The region, which is characterized by high poverty rates, low literacy, an environment of fragility, conflict and violence, degradation of natural resources, poor agricultural productivity, climate risks, desertification, poor penetration of modern technology, and weak institutional capacity.
And seriously, we have serious problem in the state, because under new map, when we establish so many hectares of woodland, we can still remember the challenges we went through, because in some places you drill the borehole this morning, you put this massive home, after 2 or 3 days it will be removed. And what we are trying to do now is we are trying to adopt some drought resistance or drought tolerant tree species that we don't have to water them during the dry season. We are trying to make sure that we plant these tree seedlings in the right time. We make sure that we raise these seedlings and they become matured during the planting season, so that they can be planted and take advantage of the rainfall.
The degradation of land due to climate change and human activities affects millions of people worldwide. It has led to loss of fertile land, reduced crop yields, and increased poverty. This is one of the issues affecting Borno State, especially farmers, as soil fertility continues to dwindle, in addition to receding water table making it difficult for communities to get water.
The challenges we have is, number one is that a climate change problem. The climate change has affected so many areas. It has eaten so much into the economy of the state. It has affected so many way of our life, like the farming activities has been affected, the livelihood has been affected, because if you look at it very well, in the past We used to have a very fertile soil that is very productive. Although we are blessed with, we know we are blessed with vast land or mass of land, but the land is no longer productive as it used to be before. So, and in fact, you discover that the productivity of the land has seriously declined. Where you used to cultivate and get maybe 10 or 5 bags of maize in the past, maybe today you have to maybe cultivate 2 or 3 times of that size, and probably even you need to add some chemicals, fertilizers, before you will get what you want. So this particular problem has seriously affected the lives of people in the state. And also one of the problems is also the tree felling. You see, most of our people here depend on firewood as our source of energy for domestic use, and we don't have the trees, and people has to, one has to eat. If you go around the state, you see if you see the way people are felling trees, in fact, you will really be surprised, because after even felling the trees, some people will even go back and remove the roots. So that means there is a serious problem. And if you look at the type of people that are involved in these particular activities, you'll be surprised, because that is the only way, that is the only means of livelihood they have. They don't have anything to get to lay their hands on. So then if you look at it, what will be the future of these people, of these places? What will be the future of our state? Because while maybe we are trying to plant few, and then people are felling, and even not only felling, even removing from the roots. So these are the problems we are trying to address under ACRESAL. We are trying to address it in the sense that you cannot stop these people from felling this until you provide them the alternatives. So what we are trying to do is to provide them alternatives, alternative means of livelihood. We don't want everybody to depend on these natural resources for their livelihood.
Flooding is another issue affecting Borno, which ACRESAL intends to tackle and mostly affects the southern part of the state. This is exacerbated by climate change and devastates communities and ecosystems. It contaminates water sources, destroys homes, and disrupts livelihoods. Affected community members suffer and lose a great deal when flooding occurs.
Well, Borno being an agrarian state, most of our communities are involved in farming, either rain-fed or irrigation farming, or at times livestock activities and what have you. But because of this insecurity, coupled with climate change activities, the entire lifestyle of our people has really changed. For a community living for years in a place, farming, doing all the activities, food production and what have you, and then suddenly for them to be moved out of that place, it's seriously a very sad situation. And that has given us a lot of headache in terms of accommodating those displaced persons, finding them where to go back to their land and then cultivate for their livelihood. And in terms of those who are rearing animals, because of climate change, rainfall patterns, some of our rivers, some of our basins have really gone bad, and they've started migrating from one point to the other, and you could see the kind of insecurity situations in terms of farmers and herders situation, only for His Excellency Professor Babagana Umar Zulum, the Executive Governor of Borno State, has recently formed a committee to look into herders and farmers clashes, and these are all part of insecurity activities caused by climate change and the insurgency.
Erosion continues to threaten infrastructure, agriculture, and ecosystems, largely caused by deforestation, overgrazing, and poor land use practices. It is a gradual process, but its impact is devastating.
Climate change is not only limited to environment, it is not only limited to water, it is not only limited to agri. It affects all the three sectors. When there is a climate change, you will discover that the water level, the rainfall pattern, the rainfall amount that you receive will be reduced. The amount or the productivity of the land, the agriculture, and whatever you have will also be affected. And that's why the project feels that all these three ministries need to come together and see how they can address this problem holistically.
With all these negative impacts mentioned, there is hope. Agencies, communities, and individuals are working together to address environmental challenges. Reforestation, sustainable agriculture, and community-led conservation initiatives are making a positive impact.
Anyway, community engagement is also one of the duties that we have embarked upon. Yes, and towards our successful implementation, the community has to be well informed about the project that is coming up. We have to go and let them know that these are the kind of things that are coming to your communities. So as they become known to the communities, we will seek their own indulgence to partner with us so that we achieve success of the program. So that is why community awareness and is very key. So we used to go and engage with the stakeholders, such as the traditional rulers, the community leaders, women activists, and all what have you. We used to engage with them, and we have to let them know how this project came into being and how it is going to be executed, and how we will want them to partner with us so that we achieve the overall success of the project.
As the focal NGO, we are the head, the eye, and the ear of the project, meaning we need to go to all communities of their intervention, do advocacy for the community leaders and the community gatekeepers, and thereafter we embark on social mobilization. Then we do our sensitization. We tell communities to understand the context of the project, we inform them of the objectives of the project, and then we make them, and rather to even convince them to buy into the project, because the project has to be done with community people. And when you are actually looking at the sustainability aspect of it, communities have to be engaged fully. You cannot just go and make your project and leave. For the sustainability, communities have to come in. So by so doing, we are actually having series of committees, which one of them is the Local Government Project Management Committee. We also have the Grievance Redress Committee. We also have the Peace Building and Conflict Resolution Committee. We have Side Committee, and many of them. And all these are the responsibilities of the focal NGO, working with the communities, having the data formation, which all this has to be generated from communities based on their integrity. And then we integrate them. We also build their capacities. So with that, the project will go a long way and we will have a better yield.
We are beginning to see communities taking ownership in different aspects, such as planting of trees, adopting sustainable practices, and protecting natural resources. The Agroclimatic Resilience in Semi-Arid Landscapes ACRESAL is working to address these environmental challenges through reforestation, sustainable agriculture, and community-led conservation initiatives.
Looking at ACRESAL activities, as I've said, the northern part is being affected by less rainfall, giving us droughts, loss in arable land for farm productions, animals being shifted from one point to the other, and deforestation as well. Along that side, if you could remember last year, His Excellency, while we were doing the tree planting campaign, he has directed for the raising of 10 million seedlings of assorted seedlings for plantation this coming season. These are efforts towards mitigating the afforestation or deforestation aspect of the climate change, and that is a very great project. It's also coming under ACRESAL. We are glad that ACRESAL is taking up the seedlings aspect, and that will be around the 27 local governments of the state.
Actually, we are now ready for the actual implementation. We have passed through so many stages. The work plan, we have developed the work plan. The work plan has been cleared. The procurement plan has been cleared. And all what have you in the office? What you need in the office, you can see all the ICT equipment and what have you. We have already said that. Now we are at the implementation stage. Last week, we have just signed a contract for worth over 1 billion for the implementation of one of our activity at Toba. And we are about signing similar work too at Ngamdu. So we are now at the implementation stage, and we have so many activities that are lined up for implementation in this 2024 work plan.
One of its programs in the state aims to restore 9,000 hectares of degraded land by planting 10 million assorted seedlings and supporting community-led initiatives. As such, ACRESAL BORNO State conducted a bid opening for raising and planting of 10 million seedlings for the restoration of 9,000 hectares of degraded land in the state in order to tackle the menace of drought and desertification. Similarly, in its efforts, ACRESAL's Community Revolving Fund CRF is aimed at providing financial support to community members for agro-business income-generating activities, promoting sustainable livelihoods and poverty reduction. Community members, through the initiative, can access loans at 5% interest rates, starting or expanding their businesses and improving their livelihoods. During the sensitization program, community members were educated on the benefits of the CRF, including increased access to finance, job creation, and poverty reduction. They were also encouraged to actively participate in community interest groups, CIGs, which serves as the primary beneficiaries of the CRF and plays a crucial role in its management and sustainability. By verifying the legitimacy of the CIGs and their leadership structures, community members can safeguard the funds and ensure that they are used for the intended purposes. Other activities to tackle the menace of environmental challenges include the drilling of solar-powered borehole at Mannari Pond in Ngamdu town for human and animal consumption is one of the interventions to ensure access to water by communities in affected areas of Borno. Sensitization and education are crucial in addressing environmental challenges. By raising awareness and promoting sustainable practices, individuals and communities are inspired to take action. Sensitization is key to behavioral change. When people understand the impact of their actions, they are more likely to adopt sustainable practices and become environmental stewards. The environment is fragile, but together we can make a difference. Let's adopt sustainable practices, support environmental initiatives, and protect our planet for future generations.